Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt, and we are on Halloween. Well, Hillary as president is very scary. Now, why would I say something like that? Why would I decorate the front of my house like that? Because Hillary Clinton is the continuation of the communism movement in America. Now, I know all you millennials, all you great people out there under the age of 35, even under the age of 40, you've been so ill-educated. I understand, from what I understand, that they don't even teach anything about communism. They teach very little about World War II, nothing about World War I, nothing about fascism. None of this stuff, maybe fascism they may touch on, but they never explain it properly. And I already did a whole thing on what is the right, what is the left. So we're not going to get into that here. We're going to talk about Hillary Clinton is the continuation of communism in the United States. Now people will say, but they're millionaires. They have a lot of money. They've been earning money. Barack Obama still wants to make a lot of money. He has many friends that are multimillionaires. Yes, this is true. And so did the people in the Politburo in the Soviet Union. They had a lot of money. So let me go back and give you a little insight on American history, going back to Roosevelt and going back to Wilson. Wilson first was elected in 1912, and he was the first progressive president. He believed in government should have the answer to everything. So he was your first progressive. And I should point out at this point, this is after Pope Leo. Pope Leo declared in 1890, because he knew about Marx and all these other people, and the Pope established that human beings have the right to personal ownership. Owning property is a human right. That's what the Pope established. So let me point that out to you so you sort of understand. So this idea of having ownership, that you own stuff, that you work for stuff, that your money is your money, your work is your work, your knowledge is your knowledge, this is all part of human experience. Progressive movement is where government knows more than you. The whole concept of the United States of America is we the people. I try to keep establishing it. We the people, we own this country. The president works for you, the mayor works for you, everybody works for you. So, how does it move on? All right, let's move on to Roosevelt then. Roosevelt was elected after the Great Depression. The Great Depression was 1929. Things were bad. Who created the Depression? Probably the same deal that went together, created this Great Recession. So let's point out a couple of things. Roosevelt was probably the first socialist president. He came up with all these programs, ABC programs, they call them, whether the FCC, the FAC, the FAA, all these different programs came about under Roosevelt because they wanted government control. Regulations, where regulators are making the law. The Constitution calls for it. A law can only be made by the United States Congress. The House, the Senate, passing bills and signed by the President. That's where law is supposed to come from. We've allowed all these new regulatory organizations like the EPA right now is totally 100% out of control. All right, so Roosevelt was your first socialist president. The president that made the big break was Ronald Reagan. 1980, the Ronald Reagan Revolution, the greatest revolution ever. Ronald Reagan's the one that said the worst thing that can happen is a federal agent knocking on your door and say, "Can I help you?" It was Ronald Reagan that finally explained, you own the country, the people own the country, you are responsible for the country. The whole Reagan Revolution came about. He cut taxes so people could keep more of their money. When he cut taxes and people could keep more of their money, businesses exploded in this country. If you can make money, if you're paying less to the government, you get to keep more for yourself, you will go out and work harder. That is the reality. That's the human nature. That's why this whole communism, socialism, Marxism, Maoism, they're all the same. I know they teach you in school that socialism is good because everybody wants to be sociable. Well, I'm sorry, you've been ill-educated. If you've gone to college from the 1970s into the 1980s, after the 1990s, if you went to college, they have been ill-educating the people. In high school, they don't even teach American Revolution. They don't even teach about the Civil War. They don't even teach about World War II, how great America was during World War II, how the country came together to defeat fascism. Let me give you a brief history on communism, what I'm talking about communism. The Russian Revolution was in 1917. When Lenin and those boys came into power, the whole concept was you did not own anything. They took care of the Tsar. Anybody with any money was taken away. They moved people into people's houses. Nobody could own anything. The state owned everything. Now think about this. Right now in America, the state came along and said, you don't own your house anymore. You don't own your car anymore. You got to report to the state. There was the party members. The party members, the people on the Politburo, they had their DACAs on the Black Sea. So there was still money. The money went to the party members. Everybody else was treated equally. Sort of like now when they talk about minimum wage. Minimum wage, if you listen to Hillary Clinton, is going to become maximum wage. Everybody's going to be paid the same, whether you have experience or not. You tell me how much work you want to do. Then now let's talk about Mao Zedong in 1949 with the Great March when he took over China. You know, 50 million Chinese were murdered, put in prison, killed, eliminated because they didn't want to give up their family property. The same thing. Communism is taking over your property. You have no rights. There are no parties. They have elections, but there's only one party to vote for. So that gives you a couple examples how evil. A good example under Stalin. Now this is in the 1930s, right before World War II. He starved the Ukrainians. They created collective farming. All the farmers were thrown off their land. They could not own their land anymore. That's how evil communism is. So let's bring it into 2016 America with Obamacare. It's a perfect example. They want Obamacare to fail. This is all part of the communism plot. That's why I say Hillary Clinton, President Obama are the same cloth, cut from the same cloth. Hardcore communists. National health care. They want to take away your rights. They want to get you, the people, by the short hairs. That way the government's got control over you. When they got control over you, when they got control over your health care, your family health care, they got control over you. That's the other reason why communists, these people that, and they don't say they're communists, but you look right down the list. From President Obama, Hillary Clinton, George Soros, multi-millionaire. But he's as red can be. And it's not good. And then another thing, let me throw this in here too. When you talk about World War II, and when Hitler went against the Russians and went against the communists, you got to remember the Nazis and the communists are both on the left. Both extreme left believe that government is the solution to everything. Freedom works. That's why I'm against Hillary, why I was against Barack Obama, why I'm against the majority of the people in Congress, in the Senate, because they believe that the state has all the answers. They want to regulate your responsibility. They want to take care of you. Do you want some federal bureaucracy, or you want somebody that works in some office in Washington, D.C. dictate about your life? That's the evil of socialism, Marxism, Maoism, communism. It's all the same. They have prettier names. Progressivism. It's all the same. Government telling you how to live your life. If you look at President Obama's complete background from the time he was a teenager, when he was with Frank, his mentor in Hawaii, Communist Party. When he went to Columbia College in New York, who was his mentor there? William Ayres. Who was his wife's best friend at Sidley Austin? William Ayres' wife. Anti-American people. So Hillary Clinton is the same cloth as President Obama. And if you look and see where we are at, unemployment, they don't even report. The media is in the pocket of the politicians. The media, the free press, the reason the First Amendment, the reason we have free press, the right to speak, is so people will be outraged, so people will stand up. The press has laid down over the last 8 to 10 years, no examination of anybody. Hillary Clinton's got her own problems right now with why did she have to have her own email? But she is as hardened as a hardcore leftist as Barack Obama. So that's why I put this sign up in front of my house. I should point out that it is the free enterprise system. It is freedom. Freedom works every time it's tried. When the people have the right, when people know they own the country, we the people, that's when business takes off. That's when people can make money. That's why even the poorest person in the worst neighborhood can get a good job when there's a manufacturing going on. Why is there no manufacturing in Chicago? The Democratic Party of Cook County. The poor people in Chicago have to drive all the way out to the suburbs to get a job. I see them in the morning, getting on one bus, getting on another bus, riding the L, then walking a couple miles when they get off the bus to go to work. These poor people from Chicago go through all the struggle. There used to be jobs everywhere in Chicago. So tell me, when I tell you Hillary Clinton, Hillary as president, very scary, that's what I'm talking about. She's as hardcore to the left as Barack Obama. Her husband, he's just as bad. I mean, he's a skirt chaser, and it might be the main reason he wanted to become president, but he went along with all that leftist ideology also. So let me point out one more time. I'm going to put this on. It's still got another week before the election. It's time for you to think Hillary Clinton as president is very scary.